Good evening, everybody. We're going to call our meeting to order, and we're going to jump into awards and recognitions with Mr. Parker.
All right. Excellent, excellent. What a wonderful time of year, barring the illness that I know is out there a little bit. Our schools have been celebrating the holiday season in a variety of ways over the last couple of weeks with performances, theme days, and other special events. One such event is a long-standing tradition in our district and community. For nearly 30 years, our local civic organizations have provided a special and sometimes once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to elementary school students. All those years ago, Georgetown Kiwanis Club and Georgetown Rotary Club wanted to host lunch with Santa, starting with 60 students in total, 30 per club, which would have represented at that time 10 students from each school because we only had 6 elementary schools. And here we are talking about
number 10.
10 today. Club members are business leaders in our community who come together to raise money through activities like the annual Scott County Fair and our local kite festival. They then pour this money back into our community as a part of the way that they make Scott County the greatest place in the world to live. As a school district, we benefit from their dedication, their time, and their talents. And we are tremendously blessed and thankful for this. This year, and for the past at least 10 years, they have hosted Lunch with Santa for 280 students in grades K through 2, 30 each from our 9 elementary schools. Even during COVID, Kiwanis didn't let it stop them. They just pivoted to provide holiday meal kits for families instead. For the last couple of weeks, the clubs hosted lunch, paid all transportation costs, served our kids, and made sure Santa was available for a quick visit, despite his busy schedule this time of year. The gifts the children go away with are thoughtful and generous and help to make their holiday season bright. Tonight, it's my honor to thank club representatives for this tireless dedication to the students of Scott County Schools, as well as to express our appreciation for their service to our community. First, we have with us Katie Prather from Georgetown Rotary Club. Katie herself has led this effort on behalf of Rotary Club for decades. Rotary Club makes a difference in our community, adhering to the motto of service above self. Rotary serves 30 students from Garth Elementary School in a private party with catered lunch. Thank you to Miss Katie Prather and the Georgetown Rotary Club. Let me come over here. Scott County Schools Challenge. Here, let's go. And finally, our new friend Caleb Manley, president of Georgetown Kiwanis Club. Caleb has been a part of the club for 3 years, but is no stranger to Scott County Schools. We saw him last on opening day when he visited Stamping Ground to share in the Teacher of the Year celebration. The Kiwanis Club motto is serving the children of the world. So it's fitting that Georgetown Kiwanis sponsored a Santa party for 250 children from 8 of our schools. Please join me in expressing our appreciation to Caleb Manley and the Georgetown Kiwanis Club.
Awesome.
All right, thanks again to both clubs and both members. Yeah, great place to be.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for both of the wonderful groups and joining us this evening. Thank you. Number 4, agenda approval.
I so move.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, public comment. None? Okay, thank you. And number 6, consent agenda items A through I.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, construction report. Hello, Tony. Hello. Good evening. Merry Christmas.
Sure.
Oh,
Yep.
it always gets you, huh? It's a challenge.
I left early.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that.
No.
I'm okay. but there's-
So, we're going to talk a little bit about elementary number 10. No motions or need to be, approved tonight. Just really giving you an update on kind of where we are and what we've discussed since then. I will say that we had some discussions on the high school, and Dwayne and I have met with the contractors. Things going on in the gym they really can't address until the kids are back out of there, so they're going to come back in. If there's a few things left over, like especially getting a pie to the beams or something like that, they're going to have to come in with scaffolds and lifts, and so they're going to wait till the summer to take care of that, which is probably the best thing to do. But other than that, they're working very quickly on many things that are on
They're
the
there
list.
today.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, they're there every day. Yeah, I think
And the
Darren
art room is
Darren
done?
lives
The
there.
beams in the
Yeah,
art
pretty.
room?
I mean, you can go through there and render your opinion, but they're much better than they were to us.
Okay.
And I think they're just naturally, the problem with the beams was that they got UV rays on some of them,
Right.
while others were in the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now they're all getting UV rays on, and I think that they're just naturally kind of blending together a little bit more anyway. And I'm
Okay.
talking about the differences. So.
Sure.
So some of the high school stuff is going on, and what can't be taken care of will be taken care of during the summer.
Okay.
Well, a little bit's going to go on, of course, during Christmas break, which you're on. So if we look at Scott County number 10, this is the plan you've seen before. You all were given copies of the plan, and you may still have those plans. Nothing has really changed in the plan, so we're past schematic, we're past design development. So we're continuing with that. This was the rendering that I showed last time, that we've developed the brick a little bit more. Here's a close-up of that. And then we developed a rendering from the other side where the parent pickup will be. And that's the cafeteria windows that you see on the right there, and then the kitchen all the way to the right. And that canopy coming out is where kids would come out, weather protected. And that's just a little bit more of a close-up on that. I probably could have scooted in a little bit more on that. And so again, these are just updates on no decisions tonight, just updates where we are. We're going to bring, I believe you all decided on January 16th, 17th, whatever your January meeting date is, we'll bring final plans for your approval, which will reflect all the things that we've discussed to date. We have, I wanted to this is the site plan I showed you last time, which in general matches the same thing. The building will face north. There's a connection to 62 Cynthiana Road there, and at the south, it connects into the neighborhood there. We've since got plans from the neighborhood, and you can see at the bottom, the road comes in at more of a curve, so it makes us kind of create a few curves there. And the arrows that you see, please don't try to look too close at all this. This is just letting you know that we have sent these drawings to Mr. Ellison and Mr. Parker, and they have looked over them. We've been back and forth several times on the bus and car traffic. We have an AM and a PM schedule already.
I think too, Tony, so one of the things we've talked with Ms. Patterson at Creek City, and we've gotten some feedback. So I think there might still be a couple of little tweaks. We're really close.
Okay. And the good thing about this is, and if I just back up to the whole site, we've developed kind of connecting lanes. It's kind of like walking on a college campus, wherever the kids walk, is where you put the sidewalk. We've put enough lanes here that there's going to be so many options for, if a principal wants to come later and say, yeah, let's take the cars this way in the morning and take them this way in the afternoon. There's a lot of opportunities. But yes, if there's still some changes that need to be made, we'll get with you all before the January meeting and tweak those changes. And even in some cases, like if you see all the way over to the right-hand side of the drawing, there's 3 lanes there. There's 3 lanes where the buses and cars won't have to be in the same lane at all, and cars can bypass them. And this was the PM. So there's an AM schedule and a PM schedule. But again, I don't want to get too deep into that because it gets, you have people on site and you have cones and you have schedules and you pass out schedules to to the parents and so forth. And that's just a little bit more of a close-up on these. So you can see the site plans. Of course, the bus drop-off in the front and the parent pickup in the back, which is exactly like Creekside. Did you want me to back that up? So that's an update on the site plan. That's an update on the renderings. We're continuing to work on the final plans. Of course, we have approval on, you all approved schematic in the BG2 and the BG3 and design development. Those have all been through KDE. So we're just at the point now for final plans and go out to bid. Last time we talked a little bit about the solar panels on the BG2. We mentioned that it could be an alternate. This is something that Scott County came to us and just as an idea, can we do this? It has some educational implications, has potentially some real monetary value to the district as well. So we've done some studies. Tyler Wilson, which I know lives in Scott County, so I know some of you all know him. He was going to be here tonight as the professional engineer to discuss that. Got sick today, so I'm here by myself. But we just had a meeting. I met with the engineers yesterday and had meetings on this thing, the solar panels exactly, and then he sent me some notes today. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of discuss the things because you don't want to get too deep in the weeds on some of this anyway because it gets highly technical. But the idea here is, number one, that if Scott County wants to go through with an alternate, is that, for solar panels, that it would be an alternate on bid day. You could see the number, and with whatever information and education on the options that you've had to that point, you can say, I don't like that, no. Of course, there would be some design fee associated with it because the engineers would have to design it to get to that point. But generally, you still have the option to say no on bid day. So the parameters we gave the engineers that if you're looking at this plan, this is the same orientation on the site as the building sits on the site in these drawings that I've already shown you. So up is north. Of course, obviously, and we have a slope metal roof that slopes towards the back, which slopes towards the south, which is optimal for a place to put solar panels. So we drew regions for them where they can put the solar panels. In these drawings here, they've optimized that and put the maximum amount of solar panels in there. We can go with less than that if we want. If we decided, I don't want to go get that deep. We can do half that. We can do a quarter of that. At some time, the economy of scale comes into play, though. If we only did a quarter of that, it's probably going to be pretty expensive per the amount of solar panels that you're going to get and per the amount of energy you're going to save. So some of the benefits, on whatever it does cost you, there's a 30% tax incentive. What's the word I'm looking for? Credit, reimbursed by the Treasury. Scott County Bills with 30%, tax credit. They can access it, make an IRS filing roughly. There's still a word I'm looking for. But anyway, the 30% reimbursement, for whatever you spend on it, you have to file. And then I had mentioned that I thought what I had read was that there was about a 30-year lifespan on the panels. That's actually a 30-year warranty. And they'll maintain up to 80% productivity up to 30 years. But that doesn't mean at 31 years they drop to zero. You could get 35 years out of the things, and even if they drop to 80 or 75%, well, you're still doing good, and you've still already had a payback. So after all these things taken into consideration, the payback at 20 was 27 years. So that was not as good as I thought. I thought the payback was going to be about 20 years. But some of that depends on how you use the building. So the engineers kind of played out the worst case scenario. A lot of times we used to design these buildings, especially with HVAC and energy usage, for 175 days a year from 5 in the morning till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. But everybody knows these are community centers now, and they're practically 24/7, 365, and go through the summer and use a lot of air conditioning and things of that nature. So if considering these things are going to be used all year long, they think that it's going to be about a 27-year payback. let's see, 30 years inverters. Of course, they rarely need maintenance. And again, this is the notes from the engineers. So the cost on what you see would be $400,000, but with the tax credit, that would reduce to about $280,000. That's actually less than I thought it would be for that many solar panels. And well, that's just kind of but we have done solar panels before, and what they would do, I know there was some concern about maybe the aesthetic. On the back of course, that would be the back of the building. As you drive in towards the front of the building, you wouldn't see them. But from the back and the playgrounds, if you look up, this is similar to what you would see. That's a shorter span on a roof, so we'd probably have 6 to 10 feet at the bottom, 6 to 10 feet at the top, so they wouldn't quite go to the edges like that. And as there could be some educational, wow, what are those? Solar panels. There could be some education behind that as well.
Tony,
Yes.
I just want to make sure I heard you right. You mentioned 27 years, and then you kind of went through, used it more, and then you said 27 years. I was just making sure. Is that what you meant?
Payback.
Okay.
That's at the point where.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
We've saved what we spent.
Yep.
Is what you're saying. Payback.
Yes. And after that, you're saving money above and
Sure,
beyond.
sure.
And that does
Great.
not take into consideration really that in some cases you could sell back to now this system that we set up before that really weren't worried about trying to get money back out of the utility company, because that's something that would have to still be worked out. But with the solar array that you have, what we've shown is big enough that at points where it's, at night in the spring and you're not using any energy at all, and you just went through a very sunny cycle, and you're putting money back into the grid, there's the potential to sell sell energy back to the utility company. But I'm not going to speak for them, because that's something that would still have to be worked out, and no guarantees there either.
Rebate.
Thank you. Ding, ding, ding,
Just
ding,
saying.
ding. It's such a simple word. How can I not?
Put me one.
Excuse me, in my home. But I had to take that money, give it to the company. I thought that I would get it. So in order to get the rebate, I had to visit whatever.
To the company who sold you and installed it?
Or to the lender. So that's how I got the difference. If I didn't get it, I would pay. So is that the
Mhm.
same thing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can you find out?
Yes,
I mean,
sure.
upset
Because,
because I
oh,
thought
I-
I was getting a rebate, and I did not, because I had to get
and maybe rebate.
the wrong word. to use.
Well, and because they said this, I think I
But
wanted
that's-
I
that's
wanted to
exactly
use the
what
word
they're- yeah,
rebate.
but that's what they're saying too.
But the engineers are actually
But-
they're saying eligible for a 30%
Yeah.
federal tax credit.
That's exactly. But I had to
Okay,
get them
okay.
back to lower the payment.
Okay. This would be reimbursed by the treasurer. I'll certainly look into that, and maybe
And then I have another question. This is what happened. The company that I bought mine.
Mhm.
So now figure out.
solar array.
So what if that happens?
Well, that's a valid question too. I know there are some PV photovoltaic companies that have come into business and gone out of business, but there's some that have been around. What we have done on roofs before is done surety bonds, where a bonding agent, somebody like a huge insurance company that usually don't go out of business, would have to provide a bond, and that bond would account for the amount that you would be out to replace the panels. So that could be an option as well. Good questions, though.
For service.
Well, I mean, I'm
So
at
should
the
there
end,
be a broken
lead,
one or
you know,
leak?
but if there's
That's
But-
me.
but
The
but
land
you have this
on
type of bracket. I have
Yeah, these clip on. It's a very simple clip. Yeah, there's vertical seams in the metal, and it clips on, and then you can just clip them off and take it off. And again, I'm not here to. I'm not
I'm just
selling it. Yes, right.
But I do know.
Because there's certainly good questions, and the two questions you all ask, I can do a little more research on. So at this point, I guess that's really it. I think I've gone through most everything, except any questions you all would have, maybe on the solar array or anything, any of the projects for that matter.
I don't at this point. I don't know
Okay.
that anybody else at this moment, as we're walking through this.
Something that comes to my mind, you mentioned the $400,000 figure, the expense, and the 27-year payback.
Mhm.
How much of that expense is baked into the infrastructure, and then as you replace panels, they're replaced less expensive, or is it $400,000 to get into it, and in 27 years we got to spend $400,000 again to get a whole new set? You see what I'm saying? Or is
Well, that's a
there
great
an
question. Yeah,
infrastructure where
that's
it's
also a
part of the
great question.
expense? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's an
Right.
excellent question. Yeah, if you got your payback at 27 and at 30 years, you say, hey, they're dropping, we're losing efficiency. Well, the first option could be is that you could just not do it.
Sure, just
If you,
let 'em
you could
fizzle out.
you could
Yeah.
not do it.
I just didn't know if the replacement of the panels then became less expensive because the infrastructure that's holding them and attached to the roof
Yes,
is a part and parcel of what you're spending initially
yes.
that you don't have to spend again.
And what that percentage is, I don't know. I would say probably around 20%, and that's really kind of shooting in the dark.
Okay.
20% as in that's the infrastructure that's in
fixed
place.
aspect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's inverters and a lot of conduit and a lot of wiring,
Yeah.
things that are running along the roof
That's
and
what I
running back to
figured,
the
yeah, that there had to
mechanical
be
rooms and electrical
guts
rooms.
to it,
It's
yeah.
all there. It's
Okay.
it's not going anywhere. These panels that just lay on top and clip in place are the things that really, and I say they go bad. I mean, in 40 or 50 years, you could still be getting 50%, productivity
Time
out
will
of
tell,
them.
we don't know,
Yeah.
right. And in 30 years, the efficiency of panels and the cost of panels is
Could be a lot.
logic tells us that it should be less expensive. over
Yes,
time. Every other
exactly.
piece of technology is that
You
way.
would think. You would think.
So-
Yes.
And the part that I've always wondered about with ROI, how much is their accounting cost? You know what I'm saying? Time passes, electrical costs are going to increase. So, and I don't know.
And that's not, well, it's another good question. And it's not, this is just assumes your current energy rate.
Well-
And it's too bad you can't get all electric rates anymore. Of course.
Well, DT brought up a good idea this morning. So he came across, there's, I think Bowling Green, they've got a couple that are, I don't know if they're full blown. They're a good portion
mhm.
solar, and he talked about it. I reached out to him about to see if there was maybe going a 2-day kind of thing.
I think that I do have a couple board members that did mention it to me, DT, and it is something definitely that we would like to talk to possibly other board members or somebody at the school
I mean, they're having a big thing where we can go
and go take
Yeah,
a look at
yeah,
it. I think
yeah.
that would be important. I think return on investment warranty, take a look at what other schools have effectively walked through
Mhm.
up to this point.
Mhm.
I think all those things are going to be important to us as we go through this because this is all new to us.
Sure.
And we just have to make sure a return on investment could possibly be there or not. What kind of educational things do we want to do? So we have lots of conversations as we're starting to pique our interest on this. So
Okay.
with the new school, but I appreciate, gathering the information, and I think definitely Bowling Green would be a great, thing for us to talk about.
DT thought
When,
For a field trip.
when is that?
I think middle of January,
Middle of
14th and 15th.
January 14th and 15th? Of course, to be ready to bid, we would have to go ahead and have do we want to tell the engineers to move on?
When is our bid date?
It would be mid-February, mid to
It
late,
is? Oh, okay.
mid to late February.
Okay.
Now we go out to bid, say late January
That's
bid.
what I was wondering. Okay.
Okay,
and then
go
we'll
out
get
to
them back.
bid late January, then bid. You give them 4 weeks to bid,
Okay.
and bid late February.
And we think they'll come in, the bid will come in towards the end of February.
Right.
Okay.
But they would need, they would need to go ahead and start kind of designing
Planning.
the things, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're asking us if we want this to be
as an alternate,
an alternate
only
bid
an
option, or
alternate.
if we want to.
Yeah.
As we're going through all of this,
Yeah,
yeah.
Right.
I think it's important to hear what they
I
have to
do
say.
too. I
and-
think
and
just keep
Okay.
on giving
that
us
option
more
open, yeah.
information on what you
Okay.
can share with us
Sure.
via email
Sure.
through Billy or DT. Just give
Okay.
us all the information that we could have on it as
Sure.
as we're moving through the next month.
Okay. And if you all are taking a van down, I haven't looked at my schedule, but I'd love to go with you
Yeah,
on that.
sure.
And I'm pointing at you, Mr. Parker,
Yeah,
like
no, I
you're
think-
going. You
I think
you may have
DT
things on that. It might be
DT's
board
idea,
members or
yeah,
something.
I'll have to. I don't know. I might go too.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll check that out, and we'll go through with where we are right now. And again, it's an alternate bid. On bid day, you can say no.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
Thanks,
appreciate
Tony.
it. Thank you very much. Renee, if you'd like to come up and join us, we're going to start talking about approving the name of Elementary School 10. And I think we'll go ahead and let Renee do a presentation for us.
I'm thrilled. I get
Or-
to talk to you about
Well, I was
Scott
gonna
County
say, did you-
history and schools.
Well, and that's the thing. So, as you all are well aware, we had members of the community that shared with us different ideas for naming of this next elementary school. And one of them that got a little bit of momentum, Renee's got some information pertaining to the area and the history and all the things. So I haven't seen her
Thanks.
this excited. I don't know. I mean, she's pretty jacked up.
Third
It
about
is,
some of
it
the-
is.
Yeah,
It is
good.
exciting
It's
because
good
I've already
stuff.
received the presentation and
Yep.
I was excited too afterwards, so.
Right,
Where you want the
right.
lights?
I might do a
Sure.
Okay.
high kick in a minute,
Oh.
a stretch before this. So, from a historical perspective, before accessible transportation, there were small 1-2 room schoolhouses, 16 attendance districts at one time. Most of those were named for the communities that they served. We have our directional schools, Southern, Northern, Eastern, Western. We have a couple of landmark schools, Lemons Mill, Royal Spring, and we have some community schools still too, Stamping Ground and Great Crossing. The schools in the eastern part of the community only are listed, except as soon as I sat down, I saw that I forgot one, Oakland, which I had never heard about before this. Newtown, Muddy Ford, Fennel, Cranetown, Rogers Gap, Boydtown, New Zion, Dry Run, Oakland, and Oxford would have been somewhere in that eastern region. There are others, I'm not excluding them on purpose, but also we got to focus. I got to stay out of my weeds, right? So you already know, Oxford is a crossroads community near the intersection of US 22 and Highway 22 rather, and US 62. It's also on the clock, less than a mile from the site of Elementary 10. Oxford Village was named by an early settler. He's called the father of Oxford, if you're interested in Bevan's perspective. He named it from his original hometown, Oxford, Ohio, which is home to Miami University. It's been a bustling community since the mid-1800s, and it's had periods of growth and then decline and growth again. But education's always been a part, and they've always grown and expanded, which is funny because it's what this group has to consider even today. And it is listed as a community on the National Registry of Historic Places, and both of the schools are named in that, and that paperwork was submitted in 1979. So first, my walk down memory lane, Oxford Village Lane, is the original Oxford Schoolhouse, and it sits across the street from Oxford Christian Church. The black and white is the 1979 photograph in the National Registry paperwork. The circle is current day. It's a residence, and it's a light blue color. When it was built using the bricks left over from the church, and that's a theme that you'll see again in a couple of minutes that I thought was an interesting comparison. Enrollment in this little building was 192 students in 1923, and it would serve as a school until 1928, when what we see as Oxford High School was built and opened, which is phenomenal that the Board of Education at the time spent $500 for the 2 acres to build the land.
How nice.
Right. Now, I did not
What we
include
could do.
what you could do. I did not include a current photo. It's a working lumber yard, and every time I've gone out there, I've been greeted with nice fellas saying hello, but it does not have the appeal that this yearbook photo has now. When it opened, it had 6 classrooms, had grade school and high school, and it had the first rural gymnasium at the time. But I told you there was always growth in the community, and education was reflective of that. There was a teacher, a first grade teacher, Louise Adams, is quoted in history text saying she did not know where she was going to put one more first grade student.
Excuse me.
So even then, building was expanded in 39. The second land purchase was $432, just in case you're curious. They welcomed other area children as those small schoolhouses closed. Oxford became a welcoming place. The Scott County Board of Education at the time was in a conversation with Harrison County to have a county line school. It fell apart. The kids didn't have any place to go. Oxford opened its doors, which I'm sure contributed to its enrollment numbers. They were maybe having open enrollment before we called it open enrollment. The other first that I love is as it continued to grow, students didn't have a way to get to school. So parent involvement, just like we talk about parent involvement this day, parent involvement was key. A parent by the name of J.K. Feeback retrofitted his pickup, loaded up kids, and brought them to school. That's not these pictures, but those are pretty old pictures of the Scott County Schools Transportation. This was the birth of Scott County Schools Transportation thanks to a parent at Oxford bringing kids to school. In time, before the school closed, Muddy Ford would join, Dry Run, Oakland, and Newtown all would become a part of Oxford before Oxford closed. The other thing that I hope I get an amen from the OSL gallery, if you've been by, this is on Delaplane. It's behind the school. The black and white was a mid-40s picture. Actually, no, that was with the historical registry. The picture on the right is the picture I took today, and I tried to zoom in so that you could see the stone inlay. The building itself was a career and technical project for students. They came to the original Great Crossing, not where we are, the one room that originally had the name Great Crossing. They toted those bricks back across town, and they built their FFA shop, which still stands. They went on to have a state award-winning FFA program, and E.W. Walton was the first teacher at that program. It's in a little bit better shape than the school. So if you love history like I do, I include just a few other pictures for perspective. May Day is the top picture. The staff pictures next to it, junior class, and then the basketball team, which was in an old news clipping that I found. Closed in 1955 when what we know as Scott County High School opened and all the county schools consolidated. The grade school students would go to the new Eastern Elementary School. And ladies and gentlemen, we have now come full circle as we're talking about that part of the community and Eastern Elementary School. So as you consider a pretty important decision tonight, I leave you with this, that it's always been responsive to growth, and that's a decision that you're facing right now with the building of Elementary 10. In times of prosperity, schools were important. They grew. They removed barriers to education, like transportation, so that we could provide that for students. They focused on real-world skills, the original career and technical ed, and they fostered an inviting school culture. Not a lot different from Profile of a Learner or Leader in Me initiatives today. If you have any questions or if you'd like for me to keep going on, long past DT's timer back there, I would love to keep talking about the history of schools.
Look at high school. Look at DT back there. Look at it.
It was, yeah. And not a lot of those one rooms did not have 4-year high school programs. So some of those kids came to finish their 4-year high school. No, ma'am.
No, thank you for your presentation. I
was-
didn't know if
You're most
anybody had any
welcome.
other comments or any questions for Renee.
Very enlightening. That was great.
That
Susan, did you already know?
Is that right?
about
Like a
that
little
since you
oral
were from-
history?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yeah,
Yes,
I
yes
did.
to that.
So that was
I'll work on that.
Well, thank you for looking into all of this for us.
Yes.
It was a great presentation. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And like Mr. Parker said, you know, we were seeing throughout, all of us were, you know, comments about naming the new elementary school Oxford Elementary. And let's just jump into it. I'd like to have a motion.
I'll second it.
What's the
Oh.
motion?
Oh,
The motion is to approve the name of the elementary school number 10 as Oxford Elementary.
Awesome.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
All right, another,
I'm going to stick around for the next couple.
yes, so,
Mascot
yes,
and colors is next, right?
yes.
Number 10.
So number 9 is discussion and possible action regarding elementary school number 10 colors.
Are we?
Yeah, well,
It's
there you go.
Oxford.
Well,
As
but
Oxford
we
Elementary.
had to call it, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sitting there.
Yeah, I have Josh sitting here, so I'm reading what's on my agenda.
Okay. Follow directions. Listen.
I'm doing it all for you, Josh, all for
Listen,
you.
we're as
Did you see?
polished as marble from Jordan.
Did you see?
Josh, we got this.
I tell my crew all the time, if Josh were sitting here, this is what we would have to
Follow
say.
the rules. So you have in front of you now our version of a brand guide for elementary schools. It shows obviously the name and the color scheme, the mascot, which is the character, think character with mascot, the logo, which is the picture. You can see at the naming of Creekside, the board really wanted a unique color scheme because you see royal blue is pretty popular, which is how we landed with maroon and silver for Creekside. I can tell you that the original Oxford High School were the Hornets. Now, there's some debate because the yearbook is the Oriole, but there's lots of folks that attend, maybe not lots, but there are folks that attended Oxford still with us, and they are convincing that they were the Hornets. They were orange and black. Both of those are strong and bold and quite fitting for a high school, in my opinion. With the naming of Great Crossing to honor this building, the one before it in the community, the board decided to give them a breath of fresh air too. They got their own mascot, they got their own color scheme, so that's just for you to consider. Feedback from elementary school principals, they like a strong picture for website and letterhead, and they like an approachable and friendly face or mascot in case it's going to wear a costume and show up at assemblies. So that's something that they're very considerate of making sure it serves the needs of their community, their students. If there are questions, you'd like for me to weigh in on what I like.
So I was going to ask, because I'm not, do you have a suggestion for us, or
I
are you
like
looking for us to make a
alliterated
motion?
names, right? I like strong leading consonant sounds. Ann Mason Morgan's Creekside Cougars. I like those. I think those roll off the tongue. People remember them, and it makes a heck of a cheer, right?
I'm still remiss that we weren't the Creekside Stone Crushers.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that taught it. I mean, Josh, Nally Gibson,
wait.
Hamilton Hinkle, it's right there. They're neighbors. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Great
I
call.
digress. I digress.
Well, I
You
lost on the Great
do.
Crossing catfish, so if I didn't get my fighting catfish.
But also, I still have the image.
Yes, she's got the Stone Crusher.
I do.
Yes.
So these would come later after the blessing of the board that you might consider pictures or how the logo might actually look, using people more creative than me and AI together. That being said, I do like orange because you don't see it show up here, and I think that it's a throwback that is popular. I think Georgetown College wears orange and black very well, but I like orange and navy because I think it's very pleasing. You could do a lot with it. And if you were asking me my opinion, which is worth about the piece of paper that this is printed on, I like the Oxford Owls a lot.
Okay, so for number 9, motion. Susan?
I move that we name the Oxford Elementary mascot.
It's
Oh,
colors.
I thought nine's colors. I'm sorry. I thought
Colors.
It said both. I'm sorry. The Owls, Oxford Owls. That's my motion. Sorry, that was really bad. I should be
Colors.
better at that. Colors. I move to name the Oxford Elementary colors blue and orange, navy and orange. You think I've been drinking
Second.
moonshine all day or something?
That's right. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. How about somebody else do a motion?
The only
Right.
other,
On the mascot?
Yeah.
Diana, the only other thing I'll show is because Maria has taught me well on the use of AI, and I am not a creative. I'm good with words, not pictures. But boy, does it look cute with a little graduation cap on, right? As somebody that's got more talent than I do.
Picturing the owl like a little Harry Potter with a blue and orange
Like a little
scarf around his
fluffy.
neck.
He's smart, right? He's got something to
The
say.
pictures that me and Colonel Allen back there and Dwayne Ellison came up
Not
with
at
were a
all
little more
nice.
fierce.
Not at all nice.
Talons.
Yeah.
It does not matter, but an owl has also taken up residence in my backyard. I'm not very far from Miss Young. Hoots all night long. In case you needed a sign, I have had a sign.
I like it.
Well, and as we all know, that's why we have our beloved Renee Holmes instead of you picking out what our mascot is going to look like,
They're
right?
not very nice.
Yes. So number 10, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that the mascot for Oxford Elementary is the Oxford Owls.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Now, we didn't vote on the picture,
No.
just
No,
on
no,
the
no, no, no,
name.
no. Yeah.
And then we'll go forward with, okay.
Right. That's just
I didn't
my
wanna renege.
doodles.
I
can
didn't
tell
wanna
you're-
renege.
thank you, Renee.
Stop hooting,
Thank
it's all
you.
good.
Thank you so much.
My
So with
motion.
that second-
I'm about ready for this to be over. This isn't right. Thank you, Renee.
I hit the bingo, right?
Well, thank you, everybody. We enjoyed the presentation, and we of course, this board
great.
loves to put some thought into the names of our schools and what we're going to be doing with everything. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. Okay, number 11, Student Achievement Report. Moving right along.
Hey.
Hey there.
I think in your folders you should have a sheet with
We do,
data
yep.
on it. Okay. All right. So what you're looking at is our special education data. December is a big month in special education. This is when our December 1 child count happens. That means we count all the special ed students in our district, and that happens across the state. So you'll see there the bottom row is our number for this year, right in the middle, 2029. So we actually only went up a few students, and we stayed the same as far as our percentage of special education students. And then at the bottom, that chart on the very far right column, those are our 5 biggest categories of eligibility, disability eligibility. And so you can see those numbers also stayed pretty much the same, which would make sense since our overall percentage stayed pretty much the same. This year, like I was saying, our special ed percentage has remained the same, and it's the smallest increase that we've had in 3 years. We have found that we're dismissing and finding students eligible at approximately the same rate, and so that is what gives us about the same amount. If you look back at 2018, that was the year that we went to RTI for the SLD model for eligibility. And as you guys are all aware, because we met last spring to talk about the policy change that we wanted to make for the SLD eligibility, that has really helped us. Right now, it's keeping our numbers the same, and we anticipate for that to go lower. I mean,
Sure.
that's our hope, and that was our hope all along. So we're happy about that. And I also want to say thank you to our OSL team just for partnering with my special education team to provide support for all students, but in particular for our special ed students. And I often say that when we do something well for special ed students, it benefits everybody, but that goes both ways too. So just some of the things that have taken place over the last year to help both our all of our students, but in particular our special ed students, is having high quality instructional resources in our Tier 1 programs. That's absolutely helpful to everybody, but it's absolutely very helpful to have making sure all of our kids are getting access and can meet the grade level standards, which is what the whole purpose of specially designed instruction is for. We have evidence-based programming in our special education classrooms, so more in our resource classrooms. We've been able to provide high-quality instructional resources in those classrooms as well. Co-teaching is a requirement for all schools, and specially designed instruction is delivered through our station teaching model or a parallel teaching model. The OSL team conducts learning walks, and so they've been super helpful to help special education team, which has consisted of 2 people, to make sure that we're getting in those buildings and monitoring co-teaching and monitoring delivery of specially designed instruction. And also there was changes with RTI or MTSS, as it's now called, just being able to get into those tiers of intervention. There some tights were made on that. Again, our policy change that you guys are all aware of for SLD eligibility, record reviews at the secondary level. Instead of students having to go through a whole new evaluation when they're in high school, we do a record review if they've had consistent cognitive scores throughout the years. There's no reason to continue to test a kid because your cognitive score doesn't really change over time. And then also, we tightened up the procedures for our related service in speech, particularly, so there's not duplication of services, which there had been some, like if a student has a reading comprehension goal, that can look the same for a speech student that would have a language goal. And so you might both be working on comprehension, or you might both be working on vocabulary, when one person could work on it and kind of fade out our speech over time. And that's reflected in our numbers for our speech as they've went down, especially the last 3 years, because we were really packing in the speech for a while. And then as far, I just talked about we're at 21% and holding strong right there right now, and we would like to see that go down. The national percentage of students with special education or students with disabilities is 15%, and for the 23-24 school year, the state percentage was 17%. So we're just still going to plug along and try to drop that number. We want every student that needs special education to get special education, but our goal is for students to be independent and maybe one day not need the services. And so we're working hard to make sure we provide what we need for our kids. So, yeah.
Do we have any questions? Anything? Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
While you're here, if
Yeah.
you don't mind, I know we're not quite there, but the UK study.
Oh, yeah.
Just hang tight for just a second.
Yep.
When we get there, I might just come back to you.
Okay.
Okay. Number 12, approve, renew MetLife Group Life Insurance Plan rate for fiscal year 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 13.
So with this, Kim, I was just going to let you share. I told the board when I shared with them a video of some of the upcoming items on the agenda, but I didn't really circle the wagons and let them know. I figured if you could just share just a little bit of details about what that is.
Sure. Dr. Amy Spriggs works for the University of Kentucky. She partnered with us last year when we were bringing in, it was our MSD teachers cohort, and they brought in a curriculum, and she helped teach that to them and then help them monitor it. So she wanted to partner with us again and do another research project, and this one, again, is for our MSD population, and it focuses on the use of assistive technology and communication devices for our students that could be nonverbal or have some reason to need AAC.
Really, we're looking at maybe one school and one teacher.
Right, one school, one
Yeah,
teacher.
yeah.
It's mostly Scott County High School. Sydney Green is the teacher. Sydney went to UK. She has a relationship with Dr. Spriggs, and so they want to partner up again to make that happen.
Move to approve.
Me. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Say me too.
Yeah. We're all a little off.
Number 14, approve use agreement between Cherry Blossom Golf Course and Scott County Board of Education.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, approve memorandum of understanding between Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and Scott County Board of Education, Great Crossing High School site provider.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 16, approve emergency certification for the position of elementary teacher at Southern Elementary.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. approve to create positions 17A through 17D.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, approve to create stipend for bus driver trainers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 19, presentation of fiscal year 2024 financial audit completed by Barnes Denning. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good evening. My name is Daniel DeMonte. I'm an insurance manager with Barnes Denning. You should have a copy of the audited financial statements for Scott County School District. I will let you read that at a different time. I'm going to go over this presentation with some nice graphs and colors and be a little bit more entertaining. So we are pleased to serve the Scott County School District for its independent audit. We were engaged to do an audit of the June 30, 2024 financial statements. With that, we also complete single audit compliance, which looks at federal funds to ensure that the district is in compliance with the requirements of the federal dollars that the district receives. I am going to go over some required communications. The financial statements are the responsibility of the district's management. Our audit does not relieve you or management of your responsibilities. We perform a risk-based audit, meaning we look at the riskier areas of the audit to provide reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance. If we were to provide absolute assurance, we would have to look at every invoice, every payroll, and obviously that's time-consuming and ineffective and inefficient. So that's how we determine reasonable assurance. We obtain an understanding of internal controls within the district, but we do not opine or give an opinion on those internal controls. And there are some other management and auditor responsibilities laid out in our engagement letter that can be made available to you if you decide you'd like to look at that. On to the good news. So we have already completed the audit. It has been issued and submitted to KDE. We issued an unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements and the major federal programs that we reviewed. That is the best opinion you can get in both areas. We received excellent cooperation from Gina and her team throughout the process. We do perform the audit remotely through a portal, so she uploads documents and we look at them, and then obviously emails and phone calls to get everything straightened away. And it's always good working with Gina and her team. No disagreements or difficulties encountered during the audit. No consultations with other independent accountants, or else we would make you aware of that. Significant accounting policies are discussed in Note 1 to the financial statements. Internal accounting estimates that are provided to us from management, one is being the depreciable lives of capital assets. There were no internal control matters that are reportable. We were not made aware of any matters related to fraud or illegal acts. Otherwise, we would communicate those to you. And then I will be providing you with a management representation letter, and basically that is a letter at the end of the audit saying that the district, has provided every, all the documents that we've requested. There was open access to everything for the audit for fiscal year 2024. I'm going to get into some high-level trends and financial information here, but before I move on, is there any questions on any of the items I've gone over so far? Okay. So yeah, just some financial information here. The statement of net position district-wide. You have your assets, deferred outflows, liabilities, deferred inflows, and net position. The past 2 years, assets have been pretty similar. A little bit of a decrease in liabilities and deferred inflows related to the pension and OPEB liabilities. Those are based on actuarial reports that are provided every year. So that's out of the district's hands, but there was a decrease in that this year. And then net position increased, which is indicative of revenues exceeding expenditures district-wide. And you can see the blue line, the revenues exceeding the expenditures for the past couple years. 2024, there were some increases in mainly tax revenue. And then we also like to show the general fund that is, as it is the main fund of the school district, and it typically mirrors what the district-wide financial statements do. And as you can see, increases in assets, there were increases in cash and AR due to timing at year-end. Liabilities remained relatively low, and revenues, again, exceeding expenditures, which increased the fund balance for the general fund in 2024. And again, you could see a similar trajectory there with the revenues and expenditures to the district-wide, but the general fund also did increase in revenues, again, mainly due to the tax revenue that was received during the year. And then lastly, we show here the revenues over expenditures for the food service program. The 2024 increases in expenses were related to materials and supplies. And then there was a slight increase in revenues, not as much as maybe previous years, but there was a big decrease in lunchroom sales. And my understanding of that is the district went, I can't remember the KDE term for it, but all the schools, CEP, that's right. All the schools were free and reduced lunch or meals, and so that would be the reason for the decrease in the lunchroom sales. And also the expenses do reflect food service is a proprietary fund, so it does include the impact of the pension and OPEB liability directly, which is different from the general fund that is excluded. So those expenses, being increased could also be affected by the changes in the pension and OPEB liabilities related to the food service fund. And that is it for my presentation.
Are there any questions from the board?
No, I don't have any questions. Appreciate everything.
Yes, very much so.
And congratulations on another elementary school and having the owls.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of the Stone Crushers.
Thank
I
you.
think- I don't know if there's any wiggle room for reconsideration.
Please don't encourage him.
I might take you with me. We'll
Okay.
site-based council and,
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent report.
Number 21, number 20.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, just
Freudian slip. How about that? Mhm.
Number 20, discussion and possible action on contract of employment for the superintendent.
I move to approve contract for renewed employment of the superintendent effective January 1st, 2025, and continuing through June 30th, 2029, according to the terms stated therein.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Billy.
What's that? That's true. That's true. That's true.
I would like to say, though, I would like to take this time as we're approving contract extension. We're very pleased, obviously, with the trajectory that we have taken under Billy's leadership over the past years, as I'm sure everybody can agree. And we expect bigger and greater things in the next 4 years. So thank you for staying with us. We greatly appreciate that. Would you like to say something?
It doesn't matter. Instead of.
Okay. Okay.
Diana, did you bring a coin?
I
should have done
I'm
that.
not allowed to have access to those. I'll have to with Renee. Yeah, there you go. Number 21, approve surplus items as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 22, financial statement. Thank you. Thank you. Number 23, approve current bills.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 24, superintendent's report.
You have included in your folder a copy of the superintendent's report, and I'm going to go a little bit off of tradition and not really share a whole lot about what's on the report. I will say our time the past month has been dominated by site visits, and a lot of what it's been neat to really see the level of involvement that our schools have taken in getting students involved in Leader in Me, Profile of a Learner. We got to see a lot of really direct hands-on activities going on, and students being involved at both high schools. Saw evidence of a couple of things that we just stumbled upon while we were there at some of our others. So just wanted to kind of share that. Before I forget, happy early birthday to Mrs. Wendy Young.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
I don't have any special
Happy birthday.
gifts or moonshine or anything like that for you today.
It's in the bag.
Yeah.
but maybe.
Move
I
on.
did
Move on.
seriously want to say a tremendous thank you to the board. It demonstrates a belief in the direction that we're heading. Big ideas require big runway. I know we've got some things that we've got in the works that having this extra time and be able to keep everything rolling. I've got to say thank you to our central office team. We've got high expectations for what we do. We run into obstacles and have encountered issues from time to time, but we always approach those through the mindset of how can we learn so that we're better prepared for the next one. And I just couldn't be more thankful for the leadership we have from our district.
Yay.
Thank you.
And again, we are blessed beyond measure in this community, and this all of us team. I appreciate the gift of time that we've been given to crazy. Work to make Scott County the greatest place in the world to live and learn for everyone. So, thank you all very much. I'm excited.
We are too. Very excited.
On that note, we have board comments. Eleanor, if you'd like to begin.
I have a couple of things to say, but they won't be long. First of all, E.T., you did a wonderful job with the Billy Hicks. I was very moved and touched. Ashley, his daughter, graduated with my daughter, and she's been a trooper for her mom, and she's just a great gal. And secondly, I had the pleasure of going to the Gifted and Talented showcase, and it was wonderful. It was divided into 3 groups, the vocal, and yes, they sang, and the drama, and yes, they acted, and then the art, and that was really, the ceramics and the drawings were wonderful. But the one thing that really intrigued me was, and maybe Stephanie, you can help me with the KYA, they came up with a bill that went to Kentucky Youth Assembly. And that bill was, and they presented it to, if you went up, Stephanie, they did, and to myself, they did at a different time. But the bill that they presented was excellent. It was taking high school students and paying them to be monitors. These were seniors, I'm sorry, and having them be monitors on the school bus. And it was excellent the steps that they went through, and they explained it. And these kids were elementary that did this, middle school, elementary and middle, but this was a middle school group, a person, or there were two of them, but it was excellent. Stephanie, may I ask, how did it fare at the KYA? I would like to know, but I said it was so insightful just to think that they would come up knowing that we need those monitors, and then we would pay them. And I just thought that was really good. And then I was telling her, the little girl that presented it, and there was a little boy, that these seniors would have their licenses. So possibly they would be interested futuristically in bus driver. So anyway, it was excellent.
Thank you. Susan?
Thank you for the goodies. I don't know who or where,
Yes.
but oh my
Miranda.
goodness.
Miranda.
Oh my goodness. Everything, it's just very impressed. And this is super cool. Anyway, thank you very much, and Merry Christmas to everyone. The night for Billy Hicks was special, and I was honored to be a part of it. And thanks, DT, for letting me mouth off and be a part of it. I also wanted just to announce, I haven't told everybody on the board or this group, I applied for and interviewed back in early December, and was then later notified that I have been chosen to serve as an at-large member on the Kentucky School Board Association Board of Directors.
Oh,
So,
yay.
begin that January 1st, and hoping, I said it to that group when I interviewed. The first couple of years you're a board member, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You think you do, and you don't. You don't. You're learning.
This is true.
And then the second term, I had my feet under me, and I was ready to go. Really feel like I could contribute to Scott County Schools. And now I'm going into my third term, and I feel like I have more to give. And so I feel like this gives not only us a voice at that level, but also helps. I'm going to be in the know. It's just nice to be a
It's
part
awesome.
of that. So looking forward to serving and seeing what we can do to make that experience better for all.
Congratulations.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I'd like to add in, I am very proud to serve on this board with Billy as our superintendent. It has been a pleasure, and I'm very proud of it, as we always talk about. But to serve with him every day is just an honor, and we continue to see things grow and grow and get better and better. And I just thank you. I thank you, everybody, but I especially thank you, Billy. So I do want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Wendy?
Scott and information. That was amazing. 'Cause
Oh,
I,
it
that's
certainly
I live in the
was.
Oxford
You can walk to those.
Yeah, I know. I'll be
sites.
walking. It's
Check
like,
it out.
And Becky?
Yes, I have had the opportunity, as several of you have, to have been in some of our schools this month, especially our elementary schools, and just really appreciate all the things our teachers are doing to make it not only a good academic instructional experience, but a fun experience for the students. They seem very happy to be there. The most impressive thing I went to, other than the Stamping Ground traditional breakfast for the community, which was hugely attended, and the fifth graders that put that on, very impressive. But I went to the Singletary Center and saw both Great Crossing and Scott County High School bring their choral vocal departments there for a beautiful holiday presentation. It was extraordinary. I was particularly impressed with both the director, performance, what do we call them, coaches or whatever, at the high schools. One at each high school, they collaborated, put it on together. You could tell a ton of work had gone into it. I love the idea where they pulled in the 8th graders from each of our middle schools, and they said, you all will be up here with our high schools next year, and made them already a part of that and excited. Then the Georgetown Community Singers were there. At two different points, the beginning and the ending, There were 350 singers and instrumentalists on that stage. It was very well attended by the community and just very impressive. Oh, and I want to tip my hat to you, Diana, because while we're handing out some appreciations, I have really appreciated, I know we all have, you as our leader of the board and the amount of time you put into it on the side and the amount of communication that you offer to us. And all of that helps our meetings run smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you.
For doing
I
that.
appreciate that.
Chair.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get the best.
On number 26, I have a slight little change on this. Move to closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810, 1F and K for review of expulsion.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. To those in the audience, thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Enjoy your
Please enjoy
holiday
your break.
break, and we will see you in January.
Thank you for all
Can we stay?